Good morning, this is Shindo. This is just breaking here very early in the morning. It's only 5:30 here Central Time. Turkey downs Russian warplane near Syria border. Moscow denies airspace violation. Okay. Reuters. Turkish fighter jet shot down a Russian warplane near the Syrian border on Tuesday after repeated warnings over airspace violations, but Moscow said it could prove the jet had not left Syrian airspace. It was the first time a NATO member armed forces had downed a Russian or Soviet military aircraft since the 1950s, and Russian Turkish assets fell on fears of the escalation between the former Cold War enemies. A Kremlin spokesman said it was, quote, very serious incident, unquote, but that it was too early to draw conclusions. Footage from the private Turkish broadcaster Haberturk TV showed the warplane going down in flames in a woodland area, a long plume of smoke trailing behind it. The plane went down an area known to the Turk as Turkmen Mountain, it said. Separate footage from the Turkey Anadolu agency showed two pilots parachuting out of the jet before it crashed. Russia's defense ministry said one of its Su-24 fighter jets had been downed in Syria and that according to preliminary information, the pilots were unable to eject it. It said the aircraft had been over Syria for the duration of its flight. The Turkish military said the aircraft has been warned 10 times in the space of 5 minutes about violating Turkish airspace. Officials said a second plane had also approached the border and had been warned. Quote, the data we have is very clear. There were two planes approaching our border. We warned them as they were getting too close, unquote. A senior Turkish official told Reuters. Quote, we warned them to avoid Turkish airspace before they did, and we warned them in many times. Our findings show that clearly the Turkish airspace was violated multiple times, and they violated it knowingly, unquote, the official said. Search for pilots. Russia's unilateral decision to launch airstrikes in Syria means Russia and NATO planes have been flying combat missions in the same airspace for the first time since World War II, targeting various insurgent groups close to Turkish borders. Russia's main stock index fell more than 2%, while Turkish stocks fell 1.3%. Both the ruble and the lira were weaker. Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan was briefed by the head of the military, while Prime Minister Ahmet Davutoglu ordered consultations with NATO, the UN, and related countries, their respective offices said. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights Monitoring Group said the warplane crashed into a mountainous area in the northern country of Latakia province, where they had been aerial bombardment earlier and where pro-government forces had been battling insurgents on the ground. Islamic State, which has beheaded foreign captives in the past, is not known to have presence there. One of the pilots was in hand of the Turkmen forces in Syria, who were looking for other one. Broadcaster CNN Turk reported, citing local sources. Russian military helicopters were also searching for the pilots. Turkey's Daga news agency reported. Both Russia and its ally, Syrian government, have carried out strikes in the area. A Syrian military source said the reported downing was being investigated. Turkey called this week for a UN Security Council meeting to discuss attacks on Turkmens in the neighboring Syria. And last week, Ankara summoned the Russian ambassador to protest the bombing of their villages. Ankara traditionally expressed solidarity with the Syrian Turkmens, who are Syrians of Turkish descent. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov is due to visit Turkey on Wednesday to discuss Syria in a trip arranged before this incident. Erdogan is meanwhile expected to visit Russia for talks with Putin in late December. About 1,700 people have fled the mountainous Syrian area to the Turkish border as a result of fighting in the last days, a Turkish official said on Monday. Russian jets have bombed the area in support of ground operation by Syrian government forces. This is extremely serious news. Turkey is a NATO ally. If you don't know the players here, NATO is of course part of the United States protectorate. Okay, so Turkey, which is a major ally with the United States in that area, and the reason why the Turkey is a major ally in that area is because the United States wants to have missiles in Turkey. This is what the entire Cuban Missile Crisis was about back in the 60s, was because back then the United States wanted to put missiles into Turkey. And so, in response, Russia wanted to put missiles into Cuba. So, if you know history, this is a serious deal. This is not going to just be shrugged off. This is huge news, biggest news in a long time. Turkey has shot down a Russian plane. This is Shindo.